Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I'm going to guess that many of us here have been approached at one time or another by someone begging on the street. And we know that these are often very uneasy moments when we come face to face with what is usually a stranger, with whom is usually a stranger, asking us to give them something, and that's usually money. As we recall those times right now, can you remember not so much what was asked of you and how you may, as I often do, have tightened up, but rather what exactly you were called by someone on the street or a roadside? I remember real well yo, mama, as I came out of a restaurant in New York City, and another time a hey church lady as I stepped away from a church in Binghamton. And I also remember Noni, from far too many beggar children, amusing me with cartwheels and other acrobatics as I ventured along the dirty streets of New Delhi, India. Noni became especially poignant for me when I took out my little Hindi dictionary and learned that it was a very respectful and honorable address for a grandmother. I was so deeply touched by being called Noni that in my heart I attached a I need you to the Noni, that these children were calling out to me. Now, I have been warned by many people not to give to beggars, but you know, those precious little souls had inadvertently given me a gift in that very honorable naming of me. So much so that I really did want to fill those little outstretched hands with what amounted to mere pennies from my resources. Those little children had been very generous and very honorable with me, and I wanted to be the same with them. Generosity and honor are both very recognizable in this relationship that we just heard about, which springs up along the roadside of Jericho, and that relationship between Jesus and Bartimaeus. We heard nothing really that occurred in that place in Jericho with Jesus and his disciples until those two men encountered each other. We know that Jesus and his disciples enter, and they are now leaving Jericho. And then all of a sudden, this blind man, Bartimaeus, whose name means son of honor, sitting in a rumpled heap on the side of the road, perceives the very powerful presence of Jesus, and he boldly shouts out to him, "Son of David." And when he continues yelling, "Son of David, have mercy on me," to me, it felt something akin to my Noni, and what I attached in saying, I need you. The generosity and honor on the part of Bartimaeus comes from the way that he recognizes Jesus. This is the first recognition, apart from Peter, of Jesus' true identity by a human being rather than a demon. And I would like to add that this is not, in my mind, just an honorable and generous action from this rumpled beggar sitting on the side of the road. I remember, too, that at that time, this would have been a very politically risky coup de grace for Bartimaeus, to be acknowledging Jesus as King of the Jews, in the flesh, for him and for Jesus. And he did it with such tenacity and integrity that I can only say, bravo, Bartimaeus. May all of us be that bold in calling out to Christ. And then Jesus, the other side of the relationship, in my mind, pounds out his own generosity and honor to Bartimaeus in return. We heard that the first thing that happened was that Jesus stands still in the crowd. He stopped. We know that Jesus is already really good at stopping, stock still. He always has that ear and that heart for the individual person who is usually a marginal person, calling out to him, wanting him to heal them, wanting to touch his clothing in the crowd. We know already that no one is ever ignored. Jesus hears Bartimaeus, as he always does when people call to him. Jesus returns the call. And here we hear him saying, "Come over here and tell me what you want." I did not perceive pity, repulsion, or avoidance from Jesus onto Bartimaeus. And we never hear that from Jesus on anyone else. Jesus heals his blindness on the spot. With love and compassion, Jesus delivers Bartimaeus from the darkness of his physical blindness. But now, after that, the real grace occurs. When we listen further, we hear that not only is Bartimaeus healed from his physical blindness, he is healed from the darkness of his spiritual blindness as well. And in my mind, this reveals who he truly is. When he gets up and follows Jesus, we hear his discipleship. He could have gone off any place. He made the decision to follow Jesus as a disciple. Jesus has called upon the deepest gift of who this beggar is. He is not just this poor man sitting in a rumpled heap on the roadside. He is a man who is capable of being Jesus' disciple. He is a human being who is capable of becoming just like Jesus. That's what disciples do. They want to be just like their teacher. And Bartimaeus, as we can see, follows Jesus. I couldn't help but think of a saying from the lore of ancient India that if you use a mirror covered with dust, you will never be able to see yourself at all. Jesus has come along just at that right moment to wipe away the dust of Bartimaeus' dark and hidden life. In a way, that generosity and that honor and their calling to each other on that roadside have allowed both Jesus and Bartimaeus to wipe away the truth, the hidden truth of who God has intended each of them to be in life. And these are very active, very viable elements in our living out our baptismal vows as Christians. Our dark, yours and mine, our dark and hidden lives can be opened up, and we can be just like Christ. And so, in this powerful relationship springing up from the roadside of Jericho, Jesus' true identity is revealed throughout the crowd. And so is the true identity of Bartimaeus. Jesus' identity is always best revealed to us. And so we too, you and I, are eternally invited to have the dust of our own spiritual blindness wiped away so that the truth of our own lives is always revealed when we boldly and faithfully call out to Christ to know who we are and to know who Jesus Christ is. We know also that Jesus often appears along the roadsides of life, calling to us to attune our ears and our hearts to all persons, especially marginal persons, to encounter them in life, especially people in need. So today, let's do what we're already good at, but let's even do it even more mindfully. Let's listen real carefully for someone calling our name, our name. I need you, I need you. When we exhibit that kind of boldness that Bartimaeus displayed and the unconditional love and attentiveness of Jesus, put those two together, God will be able to do amazing things among us. So listen for that call today. I need you. I need you. And by the way, we ourselves can stop being marginal persons as Christians. May we move off the roadside of our own lives too, and behave ever more faithfully and fully as Christ. Amen.
We turn to page 358 in the prayer book and stand together for the creed. Page 358.